Morena, boys, and welcome to Monday, the 8th of November. Gents, just a few notices before I start talking about poetry. This coming week, I will be starting to think about attitude and effort grades for your end-of-year reports, which I do around this time of term every year. And a number of you are simply not completing work, and it's always the same people, and I know who you are. And so you're set to get some very low attitude and effort grades. And so I will start to enter those at the beginning of next week because reports are due the following week. And so if you want to have my opinion of your efforts over the last little while reassessed, then you need to pull up your socks this week and do some work and finish the tasks that are set each day. Most of you are doing that fantastically, and a number of you are not. Please don't forget, gents, our Zoom class lesson tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. So that will be our normal time this week because I'm no longer having to cram everything in for seniors. So see you there, 2:30, all of you, please. So let's look at today's tasks. First of all, please do check the online learning checklist. So on GrammarNet, this is down here now underneath. This is our lessons box. You go down to beyond underneath the quizzes, and on the right hand side is the online learning checklist. This is for those of you who are feeling like you are a bit bewildered because you've been getting behind. Check on here and use the archive lessons. You click on view archive here to see all our previous lessons. This is week 4 and exams begin in week 6. So we've got this coming week and next week, and then exams begin, whether you are on campus or whether you are at home. They will be happening. Okay, so just going back to today's lesson, you're already looking at the screencast, and I've asked you to get your red exercise book handy as we go over the poem I Am Māori. So please, if you haven't got your red book right there, please pause this now and go and get it out, and get it open, and get a pen so that you can mark any notes down on your copy. So you should, on Friday, have actually written out I Am Māori into your red exercise books, or I wouldn't have minded if you had printed them out, as long as you had it there so that you could annotate it, which means writing notes in right on top of the poem. It's a tricky thing to be teaching remotely, and I know that I've had a few communications from some of you who are struggling with poetry. It's harder, especially if you're a second language learner. It's a harder thing to get your head around, so please listen carefully. Before we get to the poem, finally, please do today's spelling quiz, which is the first half of the term 4 words. And here's a heads up, on Friday this week, we will do the second half of the term 4 words, which means that by the end of this week, we will have covered all of term 3 words last term and all of term 4 words. And then we will be using some quizzes over the next fortnight to brush up on those spelling words. Right, let's have a look now at the poem I'm Māori. And what I'd like to look at first was the glossary of Te Reo Māori words, because I asked you to find out what they all meant in your own time. That was last Thursday. So let's go over those. So I'm going to read the whole thing one more time. Brown as Manuka honey, rich as the forest floor, I have been a voyager crossing oceans by the stars, my destiny, tangata whenua. I have been a warrior defending tipuna land by means of utu and mana, taiaha in my hand. I have been a slave for tribal chiefs who conquered, yet Mahuta still stands. I have been miscegenized, missionized, literized, God Almightyized, yet I cling to my haka today. I have lived in dwellings that the real estate men shun. Takukainga is now prison, state housing, and city slum. I have been a native deserving of patronage in the education system, moulding me a brown Pākehā. I have been a worker digging roadsides, felling trees, farming land, and earning pay in city factories. I have been a soldier, fighting wars in Greece, the Middle East, and Italy, Singapore, and Vietnam. I have been an entertainer for the tourist trade, bringing profit for New Zealand with waiata, harakeke, and ornaments of jade. I have been a victim of colonialism's gun. I've tried to be a Māori. Perhaps the Pākehā has won. Yet I am Māori. Let not alcohol and drugs ensnare me like the fishnet of Maui round the sun. And I really am very keen to spell the word Māori with a macron. So the macrons, gentlemen, the lines above vowels in Te Reo Māori are there as part of the language. They are now being expected, and they are there to show us how to pronounce words. Many languages have these kinds of symbols. So let's have a look at this. Manuka is honey, produced from the nectar of the Manuka tree. Tangata whenua literally means people of the land, so people who are native to the country. So this is Māori, tangata whenua. Tipuna means ancestor. Utu means cost or fee or revenge. Mana, you probably know that word, means integrity or status or power. A taiaha is a long club, which is both used as a weapon, or has been, and as a ceremonial weapon. Mahuta, Tane Mahuta is the Māori god of the forest and birds. A haka, as you know, is a ceremonial dance. Takukainga literally means my home. Pākehā is non-Māori. Waiata is song. Harakeke is flax leaf, which grows native in New Zealand, the flax, and is used for making houses, rope, domestic items, or was. Maui is the cultural hero of Polynesian mythology. Right, I'm going to go across to the other poem now. This was up on Friday for you to take some notes. So I'm hoping that you've done that. I am Māori is the name of the title, and the use of the first person singular pronoun really means we. This poet is speaking on behalf of herself, but also of her people. Number 2 here, we have a couple of simile, and you may well want to write about those. And these similes talk about the colour of Māori skin in a very positive way. Brown as Manuka honey. Manuka honey is very valuable, it's a hugely valuable export. If you've tried to buy it at the supermarket, it's, for a little tiny pot like that, it's kind of $10, $12, $15, and it is very highly prized, one of the most popular honeys in the world, and it's beautiful color. It's a beautiful, rich golden color. So to compare brown skin to Manuka honey is comparing your skin to something that is sweet and precious and beautiful and valuable. So that's a very positive simile. Brown as Manuka honey, rich as the forest floor. Forest floor is covered in rich earth where small shoots grow up. So there's this sense of a very positive beginning to this poem about being Māori. I can't talk very long because you're all going to go to sleep. So I want you to work through these numbers carefully of your own. I'm just going to pay attention to some bits and pieces. Obviously, this poet is describing all the different experiences that the Māori people have had, both before Pākehā arrived and since Pākehā have arrived in New Zealand. And some of these experiences have been very negative. And so this stanza here, where number 5 is, I have been miscegenized, missionized, literized, God Almightyized, is the poet listing these negative experiences that the Māori have suffered from during colonialism. Miscegenized means cross-ethnic relationships. Doesn't necessarily have to be negative, but it does nevertheless result in a somewhat changing and altering, and you could think watering down of cultural identity and heritage when people from different backgrounds intermarry. That has very positive things to say for it as well, but if that happens over the centuries, then you do find that you have to keep scrabbling to catch hold and hold on to what you are as a Māori or as a person of mixed race. Where did your heritage come from? So this is themes that we've seen in both of our poems, is when we've studied Search for My Tongue as well. How do you hold on to your own cultural identity? And obviously God Almightyized is a reference to the fact that white people brought the Christian religion, and although they felt strongly that they were giving Māori a precious gift when they brought the gospel of Jesus Christ, they did it in ways that were pretty heavy-handed at times, shall we say. And of course, language for Māori was beaten out of them. There was a period of time where Māori, if they spoke Māori at school, they would be beaten by their teachers. And it was very frowned upon. And so many Māori lost their ability to speak Te Reo Māori. The children did not get brought up speaking it, and then a generation lost their own language, which is tragic, as we've talked about with the previous poem, because of how important language is to one's identity. And that's why, again, this poet has put in these Te Reo Māori words. So, very importantly, finally, at this, everything comes to a head in the second to last stanza here. I have been a victim of colonialism's gun. Basically, Māori were killed brutally in the land wars and expected just to let the white people have their land to a large degree. But then we are presented with this word yet. Just as in our other poem, we have a conjunction, we have a turning point where there is a glimmer of hope at the end. Yet I am Māori. I still have that identity. This is still who I am. And then the final stanza is almost a plea to fellow Māori. Let's not let alcohol and drugs and the negative stereotypes about being Māori or about being Indigenous ensnare us, trap us, prevent us from living our best lives. Right. I wanted to talk more, but I'm going to ask you now to digest this carefully, and I will explain tomorrow how we are going to go ahead with writing an essay on these two poems. So please tune in tomorrow at 2:30 and email me if there's a reason why you cannot be there. All you need to do now is to make sure you've got these notes written in, that you understand the poem to your best ability, and that you can complete the spelling quiz. See you tomorrow.